Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new stream. Yay. We're playing with a new library. And this is a super fun library. Let me tell you about it. Hello, I'm John Limcool. Welcome. Here comes the maestro. No, here comes John Limcool. Happily to see you all. Welcome. Hey, so I've released the library that I've been telling you guys about for the last couple of weeks. It is a reality. It is here. It is at the website. It is 40% off because that's how we do things. When we have new things, we like to celebrate and give you guys a little bit of savings when it first comes out. So here, let me hit the log out button there. This is ChillyPop Phrases. I have not done a lot of composition work. Back in the day when I was doing album work and music libraries and stuff, phrases and stuff were there a little bit, but not like they are now. Everybody loves to have all sorts of phrases. And so ChillyPop Phrases are a bunch of really useful, cool phrases that I've tried to think of how could I like expand on it and make it more than just a folder of loops. Everybody else you buy loops from, it's just a folder of loops. And now it's up to you to place it somewhere and use it. And for a lot of you, that's a great way to work and you're off and on your way. But for others, it's kind of fun to have other ways to Creator Media says he was playing the 64. There's a demo song on the site right here. You can hear all 54 phrases, or you can hear, I'm going to play you these 6 real-time phrases because I have them set up inside of Logic so I can show you what I did to show you how the libraries work, how expandable they are, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, at pluginguru.com, you will find the library. There's also 40% off going on. If you go to the current promotion page, you'll see all the other libraries that are on sale. We're getting close to the end. The 40% off on select libraries ends September 1st. I'm going to keep ChillyPop at its introductory price until September 12th. Sunday is usually when I stop sales, but that's 9/11. And we're not having a sales stop on 9/11. That's just not a good date to stop things. So anyway, so September 12th is when we will stop this sale. But anyway, welcome to you all. It's good to see some happy faces. You know, I can hear a distortion. I think I need to turn my microphone level down a little bit there. I can crank it a little bit here if I need to. It's already cranked. Testing 1, 2, test. So as long as I have my microphone in the right place, aiming at my face, we're in good shape, I think. So there we go. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a great creative week. We've got some fun stuff to show you. So ChillyPop, let me give you the backstory because I haven't made the walkthrough video yet. So I'm going to be making that here probably later today. So this is kind of like, you guys are my beta testers for the walkthrough video I need to make. But it's also the world premiere. So I wanted to make it a special, like, show it to you guys for the first time instead of just, I didn't have time to get the video up with everything else. Back in May of 2021, well, to back it up even a step further, I have worked with Sample God, who is a company, a really nice guy named Phil out of Germany, and he has partner musicians that create phrases and sell them. They're on Splice, a couple other places as well. And he sold, we did a nice deal to get the ChillyPop, the chill guitar phrases. Here's the 85 beat per minute guitar phrases. And if I have this set to the right, 61 guitar phrases that you can now build a track around. And I used Unify to set up BPM splits where you could say 85 beats per minute, and it would set up everything so that you could play one note to play the phrase and have right for guitars. Well, back in May, he made an offer that I couldn't pass up to buy the exclusive right to these 90 samples. And so I bought them. This is how they came with just, wrong chords. It was just the work files and stuff like that. These weren't filed, but like this is one of the phrases from the library. It was originally 110 beats per minute. So if we go over and we find that inside of ChillyPop, over here to ChillyPop, we could play. There's a map here of one phrase from each. Let's say 110, and there's 54 phrases, and this has all 54. And I have a drum track, as you see, turned off. Just hit the little circle that's got the X through it right here. And make sure your DAW is also set to 110 beats per minute, and this will play. And I've designed this so that this is a Unify layer. So you could double click this. You could initialize this, load up Contact in any library of drum loops that are set to 110 beats per minute. You could choose it to any other drum groove. If you were to go over to your ChillyPop Phrases, I have made a special drum kit, and all of these BPM drum grooves are here. So we could say Good Friend and Betty Money, just the hi-hats. Then the whole groove, right? And now you can play. But these are 4 major phrases. And most of these have at least one variation. Many have more. So if you actually go, the other thing that I did to these, you notice that these are available in different tempos. So the same notes are set up. So if I want to hear this at 85 beats per minute, I could go like this, set my DAW to be 85 beats per minute, and turn on the drum groove so you hear it with the groove. But you can also caught the same groove at 128. And if you set your DAW to 128, it's 128. Because we don't have an engine that can speed up and slow down the audio files. So I needed to actually make audio files for this. So there's 54 phrases. If you go up here to the BPM splits, this is the easiest way to audition them. So we're at 128 beats per minute. So we can go 128, play low C. Starts to groove. I have programmed the daylights. I have used all 4 pages of knob assignments, and we'll cover this in a minute, but I want to show you how this works. When you see right here, knob number 8, I have gone through every one, cataloged the chord progressions, named it so that if you call this one up that's in D minor, you can play above this is the bass again, but just like chill guitars. Right? Now this one has a V at the end of it, which means if I went to phrase 18, down here below you can see I have all of the phrases at the different tempos grouped. So I could go over here to, that was groove 18, so at 128 beats per minute, 18. If I was to go to the right-hand part, there's a right-hand part for these BPM splits. There's a right-hand part, there's a bass part, there's a drum groove, and then the phrase. And you'll notice the drum groove, the left hand, and the right hand are Unify plugins, which means I could open up this right-hand layer, and this is Lonely Wind, a pad that I made for the library. But if I wanted, I could scroll down to 128 beats per minute. This is why there's 426 patches, because there's 54 different grooves at 6 different tempos. But I could go to number 18 at 128 beats per minute. And here it is. And it says 3V. So that means that there's 3 variations. If you go to the keyboard, you'll see on the display. No bass. Just the flutes. So I got 3 different mixes. So if I was to go over here and mute the phrase from the groove, I could have the drum groove start. And now with my right hand, I'm playing the different samples. So I could take and use the one without the bass and use that to build my track if I wanted to have the variations that are in here. Because you can see some of these have up to 8 different variations. If you go to 128, all of these guys, there's 8 different mixes. Not just the main groove, but you have elements. So you have different things to play with besides just one loop. You can mix and match and play between the different ones. Go to another one of these phrase sets. This has a voice in it. Just like your piano. Right? So the phrases are as flexible as I could possibly make them for all these different. So if you want to just use a kalimba, and if I was to go, no, I want to be slow. This is set number, what number is this? 8, right? So if I was to go up here to like 85 beats per minute and say, give me number 8 again. So 85, number 8. Here it is. Oh, wait. Where'd it go? Well, it's here somewhere. So here it is at 85 beats per minute from number 12. We're going to go up here to number 12 at 110 beats per minute. So you have these variations of phrases. You have them mapped across the keyboard in cool ways to use. Oops, that was the main Unify layer. And then let's talk about the knobs for these, because there's so much you can do. Let me see if there's. Do you guys have any questions on what I'm showing? I want to make sure that. Yeah, okay, cool. So let me show you the BPM. So there's all these different patches. To start with, what the library contains, I gotta get it together. I'm not thinking through this quite right. But the library contains the 54 phrases, which have variations for a total of 160, I think it's 167 samples for the different phrases to work with. I sampled some really cool sub basses. So these are, and I'll cover the B2s in a minute. Right? I love number 4. 4 is really interesting. 5. on the basses, the knobs do some interesting things. Sample start will actually move later into the sample, so you don't have the chippy beginning. Distortion. And this ties in with the filter cutoff. And just having a little bit just helps the basses sound better on smaller speakers, actually. Put some subharmonic energy into the basses. So it starts pure. If you want to add some dirt, it's really, really, really nice. So you have the sub basses. Drum kit is called the ChillyPop drum kit. So we go down here to drum kit. This is a special drum kit, and I've mapped the keys so you can see. Kicks. They're starting here. I had fun making that layering and delayering samples to so all sorts of kicks and snares that I have, some from other kits, but I put together, I made new sounds to give you a whole variety from chill to trap to pop. So you have there's a 909 in here. So you have the snares, all the hi-hats. Right? Then you have some percussion, and then 3 different cymbals. And so there are drums. If you turn off the bypass on MIDI box, it now plays the groove. It tells you what groove it is. If you go to the knobs, you can now spin. It starts with just hi-hats only. Right? And then above this, all those BPM drums are all of these grooves saved as patches so that you could say, I want Overlord. And then there's some cool parameters on the second page of the drum grooves, including groove top note and bottom note. The top note allows you to bring down what note is playing. Find the right place, just the kick drum. So right next to the kick drum was a snare drum. And then the hi-hats are above, because remember the map of the drums starts with bass, kick drums, snares, hi-hats, and percussion. I designed it that way on purpose, that as you play these, you could go to the top note or bottom note. And bottom note allows you to get rid of the kick or the snare and keep the hi-hats. Pitch. Distortion is really cool. Like get a cool bit of frequency like that and then just add just a little bit. Really, really sweet. Halftime or double time or normal time, and then speed here does multiplying in the other direction instead of cutting it in half. And what's fun is you can sequence and just move the speed knob when you want to double the time and add little fill and variations. Or if you want to do glitchy things, it's really cool for that kind of thing. Decay. Cut off. High pass gets rid of the low end. And reverb. So you can always hit a little splash when you want, right? So the drum grooves, super, super flexible, just like the basses. And then the phrases, if we get to the phrases, here we're at, let's say we go down to 110 beats per minute. So we call it 110 beat per minute phrases. This also has knobs, reverb, filter, high pass filter with reverb. So if you just want to have a little high energy in the groove, you can do it that way, right? So super, super flexible for all of the elements to mix and match with. And then the reason that I have the basses set up with the B2, let's say that we start with a groove. So let's go over here to these phrase sets. The phrase sets, the rule for the phrase sets is they start at middle C and they go up to 1 octave up of phrases. So we're at 110 beats per minute. So let's go to where it says 110. So I have all the phrases at 110 beats per minute. And it says in the description here, this is in E flat minor. So now I could change this to say Unify layer, and I could go up and I could try some of these basses, and it's E flat minor. Oh, B flat minor. And the bass is designed to stop at B2. That's why the name says B2, is that it goes up to here because the next note above that is where the phrases start. So you can now layer and then to add to our recipe, go to the BPM drums, choose one of these guys. Since this is set to Unify layer, it's added. And then if that's not the right groove, open up that Unify layer. It will go to this groove change. Maybe I like that, but I want to filter it. And I'm writing. So the phrases can be built upon and used in a creative way directly inside of Unify without having to get it into a DAW and get it to sequence and only work when you play it and stuff like that. You can interact with it in a really fun way. And then when you're ready and you want to take it further and do more manipulation, all of these phrases are available as WAV files. So you could load them into your DAW if that's the way you want to work. Maybe you just want the second variation phrase. You just play D. Right? Go back to the full one. I mean, there's so many different ways to use these. It's just super creative. And on top of this, if I wanted to be at a different tempo, the loops totally change their characteristics. They become a whole different vibe. So if we were to rebuild this, let's say, and instead of being at 110, let's go to 75 beats per minute. So set this back to normal, go 75, groove 31. And it's going to go from this to this. So let's say Unify layer. Let's go find a drum group. Now these drum grooves are all MIDI boxes. And now you have to go to your DAW and tell it that you are at 75 beats per minute if you're working in a DAW. Same samples, but because I've set it to 75 beats per minute, it's a whole different vibe. since we're at Unify layer, let's go and grab a bass. Choose one of the basses that says B2. Let's say 6. So a whole like now we're into a chill. Right? So there's all sorts of different ways to use these, and the same phrases are super flexible because they're available in 6 different tempos. So you have all sorts of fun ways to play with these, right? So let's see if there's any questions. I need my glasses. It's so funny, as I'm getting older, I need my glasses to have a prescription. So I'm going to change to these guys because then I can read the screen a little bit better. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Can the Unify knobs be automated within the DAW? Yes. That's what I'm going to show you next. So I have, if you go to the website, you will, and hear the demo. The very first demo plays, I think I have 6 different tempos in there. And here they are. So if I wanted to, let's see if I can, I think I just called out the original demos. So let's say we're at, here's the 85 beat per minute, right? So I need to set this to 85 beats per minute. Let me make sure that nobody else is going to play. I have the MIDI file drum grooves in here, so let me have these guys go somewhere else. Actually, we'll just mute them all. Select them all. Mute. So we don't hear those. Now I'm at 85 beats per minute. I need to go to this Unify and call it up. And it's not set to anything, so we're going to go to ChillyPop Phrases, BPM split 85. And I think I just played this native as it is. Let's find out. Yep. Now, let me see. My automation working. See if this is going to work. Yeah, you can see the reverb is up. All this stuff is happening. Let me go to one of the other demos that does even more crazy stuff. Like I think this one here, the phrase jam for 100. So I'm going to go over here and call up the 100 beat per minute phrase jam. Call this up, and unfortunately, I can't have both windows open at once, but this way so you can see what's going on. So we go right here. You see the 100 beats per minute. So we say our DAW goes to 100. So back one measure. Oh. I'm trying to get so you can see all the automation. So I'm changing those knobs. I haven't even shown you all the cool things in the knobs. Right? Now, the key that I have realized when you're working inside of a DAW situation, it's best to turn off the actual, we have this thing called, what do we call it? Mono latch. And so if you turn that off, now it only plays when you play a note instead of if you have latch turned on. It's on when you just play a note. Now you take your hands off the keys. But if you turn this off, now it works a little bit more as expected in your DAW, so it's going to trigger when you want. Here, let me go to the next demo that I did. Did I do any automation to that one? I did not, but I did to this one. This is the 120 beat per minute one, so let's go 120 beats per minute. And if I go down here and call up the BPM split 120 beats per minute, you'll get to hear what this sounds like. And I can we'll play it first with the automation this way, and then I can show you the knobs. Reverb, filtering, top note, distortion, right? So you can do all sorts of real-time, just a little reverb splash. So if you see the knobs, it's like this. So if I play this back again, here comes knob 1. The drum distortion is down here. Here's the top note, here's distortion parameters. So you can automate in, even if they don't have MIDI CCs assigned to them, they are still available for an automation source just strictly within your DAW to work with. So they're very flexible in that side of way. So yeah, it's totally designed so that you don't just have a loop repeating and just sitting there in your face. The fun thing with these is if you go to this and play this, I have drum, so there's 4 pages of knobs. Let me actually see if I can zoom in a little bit, give you a little bit more of a up close tour of this. So let's go like, actually I should do this as a separate preset. So let's go like this. Keep this here. And then I'm gonna go to the whole desktop like this and then zoom it in. So like this. I'll put the knobs right here in the middle so you can see them. So there are 4 pages of knobs. The first page is dedicated mostly to the phrase. So you can filter just the phrase, not the whole groove. Add pump house, the LFO pulse, and I didn't do it, but if you want bonus points, go to like, I think page 3, no? Page 4 has one, boy, I went carried away. So page 4, let's call this LFO pulse. Let's see, pulse, mult. Now, if you want to add this, all you have to do is go link parameters. Make sure you can, I want to make sure you can see this inside of OBS. So we go down here. Okay, you disappear for the moment, right? If we go right here and then click the plus, go to instrument for 1, which is the phrases. And then what we want to find is inside a Guru sampler, we need the LFO sync rate right here. So by setting that up, I now have it set so that I can play. So you could automate the pulse speed if you wanted to. There's 8th notes instead of 16th notes. Add that and pump house together. Distortion. And reverb. And a high pass filter. And I'm playing the left-hand bass. And my keyboard's not showing because I'm not, wait, I could go up here and like turn that on at the same time. I have so many tracks of drums over here. Let's see, so over here, like that, and there. Right? All right, so we have those for the phrase. Page 2 is for the bass. So you have sample start. If you don't want the attack. Distortion and a filter before distortion. So you can distort and and then filter after the distortion, which is really cool. So you can get just the muddy schmutz that you want. And release. So if you don't want it to ring out like an 808, there's a knob here can change the release of the bass. So page 2 is bass. Page 3 and 4 is all drums. So you have the ability to add reverb just to the drums, high pass filter, low pass. If you want to turn something lo-fi, every drum groove, just set it here and you got lo-fi. Tape effects, that's the balance. Let's do this. Let's go over here, filter. So this is page 3, tape effects is right here, the Chow tape model. And you can open this up and choose whatever settings you want. If you want to grade it more, turn this on. Add the enveloping, whatever you want. This is the wet dry balance. So if you just want a little bit, you can add just a little bit of Chow tape to it. So it's all set up for that. Pitch. Like if you go over here and make your bass really short, take down the pitch, decay shorter, tape sloppy, drum sloppy is the random timing. And then you have drum velocity, which is changing the MIDI velocity of the drum groove. Right? Now, the second page is about timing. So you have double timing. And the cool thing with MIDI box is it jumps back to timing really fast. Halftime. What this is changing, just so you know, is it's changing the plugin speed and then the numerator and the denominator of MIDI box. And then you have low note, which changes the MIDI filtering, so it gets rid of the low notes. It doesn't play the kick drum. Just hi-hats. Top note will bring down the hi-hats. Kick and snare only. Above this is the hi-hats. Then distortion. And then I put reverb. This is the same reverb that's right here. Over here. Just so you have it on this page too, because changing the reverb is really fun to have just a little bit, just a little splash every now and then in production is really cool. So you have all of these tools to change the bass, the drums, and the phrase. So I tell you, I cannot tell you the number of hours I have spent working to get all of this so that when you work with these, I just see all these loop libraries come out and it's just a folder of loops. And I'm like, guys, you can do better than that, especially if you're charging a lot of money for it. So these are license free. You're free to use these in any musical applications, whether it's the entire scene for a film all by itself. Buying the library gives you a license to use it that way, although I prefer if you put stuff around it, dressed it, all that kind of stuff. But they're free for you to use. There's no restrictions on any way to use the phrases. Manipulating the phrases, using the wave files in your DAW to just don't turn it into anything that you sell in a sample library. That's just bad karma to do stuff like that, right? Yeah, Ivar, I'm not going to compare that right now. Sorry. Hi, Tim. Good to see Tim. Good to see Jason. All sorts of good guys here. Cool. Yeah, Shane, I think, is away for today. They have found the place that they want to live. They're in the process of moving, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think he's going to be here today. But I want to give everybody do a quick shout out to Taylor. Taylor did an incredible job helping me with this library. It took an incredible amount of work. If you open up this Guru sampler and you look at the phrase list, all of these phrase files have the samples in them. Taylor helped make all of these presets. So thank you, Taylor, for helping for that type of, work. Now, the library organization inside a Guru sampler, I should point out this is organized a little bit differently than most of these in that I have the different categories here to choose from for basses, drum kits, or the phrases. So if you go basses, then you see the 808 sub basses. If you go to drum kit, there's only one drum kit. But it was just really important to me to keep it separated because the phrases themselves is just a massive, endless, sprawling list. And I didn't want the drums and the basses like stuck somewhere in the middle of all this stuff. So I could have put it all into one thing, but I did organize it so that it's into different folders like that. Later this week, next week, the video is going to come out on getting your own samples into Unify. It's time to share some stuff in that direction. So, yeah, this was, believe it or not, months of work. It's like taking any loop library and then spending about 2.5 months straight organizing it. If I showed you the logic files for adjusting the timing of all the phrases to get it so it's right, I shifted things so that it was in a chord progression more optimal for a keyboard player than a guitar player, because a lot of these were in B. So I'd put them in the key of A minor instead of B minor because it's easier to play as a keyboard player. A lot of that kind of stuff I do under the hood when I'm building this library to decide what keys for the samples to be in, right? So if we're at 120 beats per minute, when you go through the list of phrases, where am I at? Well, this is all the phrases, right? Yeah. So if I go to the funnest things to play with are the BPM split phrase jams, because this is where it's all set up. All the knobs are set up. Oh, and you got to say 110 beats per minute. So we're at let's see. Oh, I'm at a 120. Let's change to 110. I like 110. It's really important you get the DAW speed right. I should even check. I don't know if I checked these in standalone. I think I did. I'm pretty sure that I did. So that if you use it in standalone, it's saved to the tempo it's supposed to. Yeah, I did that. I'm sure I did that. In standalone, they will play at the right tempo automatically in standalone. It's when you put them in your DAW, we no longer control the tempo inside of Unify. We now control it by what your DAW tempo is. So you have to adjust that, right? Only plugins that you have pigments. Include only the plugins you have. I'm not sure, Daniela, what you mean by that. I mean, you can hit init and choose what other plugin you own and then save a patch from it. That's very easy to do. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me see here. What else did I want to show you with this library? It's just the options are wide open, you know? So when you call up one of these, the other knobs that I wanted to point out, on the very first page is the drum groove and the phrase groove. And so you can play, and it's kind of like a recipe. I like, this uses phrase number 4. If you go to the drums right here, you can open up and see what drum groove is being used. If I was to, let's see, move this over here, as I spin this knob for the drum groove, you can see it's changing the drum groove. And you hear it immediately. Right? Which opens up all sorts of really fun doors. You can spin this while you're recording in your DAW. And that would be your new pattern for your groove. So it's very fun for that kind of stuff. Now this other one is the phrase groove, and it changes the phrase and it changes the chord progression display. Right? Next time around, right? So you can play with these in really cool ways. play out their chords and stuff like that, but they're designed for you to be creative with these and think of fun things outside of the box. Might hear different chord progressions, alternatives. I just need a singer to come in and sing. I was thinking of trying to do demos with me singing, but singing is not my cup of tea. So I have I could hear good solo. Yeah, guitar solos all over the place if you want. Now, on top of this, the right-hand part, this is a sound that I made called Shiny Octave Brass. It's part of the library. But if you want, you can open up this layer and choose anything else. So it's like a really cool. Figure out what chords you want to play, work with it in that way, but there's all sorts of things. And if you don't want the phrase, just hit the M button to mute it, and I have a bass drum. Right? So there's all sorts of ways of using the things that were created as supporting characters for this library. They can be the stars of the show if you want them to be the stars of the show. Again, I could go to the phrase for the drums. Get your chill on that way. So there's all sorts of ways of using this library and the elements in it. The basses and the drums and the keyboard sounds are really, really nice just by themselves. So if you go down here to the keys and the leads and the pads, there's also Lonely Wind as another pad. And what's really fun is to go here and say Unify Layer, choose one of these basses that are B2, and now you have the ability to add a bass to your pad or whatever your right hand sound is. Right? And then if we want to say, let's say, well, we could say 85 beats per minute. Set this to, since it's set to Unify Layer, we could go down here and choose a drum groove that will work for this. Let's say like maybe, oh, So Alive is really cool. So, and off you go. So the sounds, they can be used in all sorts of ways that don't even use the phrases. If you want to just play with the sounds, they're cool and useful in all sorts of really cool ways. Okay. Okay, good, Gerhard, thank you. Yeah, so it's there. If you have questions, pop them up there in the list, and we will help answer to explain something about how the library works. It came out so nice. Very, very happy with it. So let's see if there's anything else I wanted to show right off the bat here. I did have another thing happen this week that is going to be interesting, because we do have, with the beta release of Unify, we are now with a native version of Unify that will work on native Apple Silicon. And as I've been talking to you all for a while, I have been using the same 2010 bodied Mac Pro Tower probably for about 7 years, something like that. Well, guess what? Look what I added to the mix. Let's see, go full screen. We'll do the official. Like this, just the webcam. Oh, webcam's supposed to be, not that. Oh, wait. Yeah, just this. What is that? Uh-oh. What did I do? Yes, I added a Mac Studio to the Plugin Guru Studio. And because I am a good boy, I could not actually use this until this library was done. And so I have not even unpacked it. So we are going to officially unpack it. I'll plug it in probably later today, tomorrow. Or just like drop it or something like that, right? Now, I will tell you this. This is the stock basic version of the Mac Studio. This is not their super souped up, super powerhouse. It has all the ports and all that kind of nice stuff. It's nice and solid. But But here in the USA right now, the inventory is horrible. If I wanted to customize this and modify the hard drive size or upgrade the memory, I wouldn't get it until the middle of October. And there's some stuff I want to test that we are working on. I can't announce anything yet, but there's some really interesting stuff going on that we are testing. And I have to be able to test it. We have beta testers, and they do test to a certain point, but they don't test to the level I'm going to test at. And so I needed to have a silicone computer. So I now have an Apple silicone computer. So stay tuned. We'll be working with it, and probably the next live stream will be powered by it instead of by the existing computer that I have. We go over the WAV files from ChillyPop. Sure. So the WAV files. So here, let me show you how the library. Now this library, delivery-wise, ChillyPop. Let's get back to ChillyPop. But anyway, yeah, I have joined the family. So if we go over here, let's change to the desktop view, the whole desktop, and let's see here. Let's zoom so this can show everything, right? So this is, let's make it bigger than that. Let's go like this and like that. And, oh. We don't need that anyhow. So this is the desktop. If we open up, let's have Sample Gods, the original folder. So this is what the organized wave. So, okay. So here is the 4 files that this library is fairly healthy in size, just due to the way our data management works. So there is install 1, 2, and 3 .guru files that you will install by just simply dragging them into Unify. Do part 1 first, then part 2, and then part 3. It ends up being about 5 gigabytes in size. It's a healthy library for sure. Let's see, let's shrink this just a little bit. I guess you can see it right in the middle here. So, and then the 4th folder contains ChillyPop Wave. And what this is this is the way most Wave folders come. However, this is organized pretty nicely. So each one of these, if I say phrase 2, I am in the 110 beat per minute folder, and here's the chord progression, so I can there's no clicks. I've done fade in and fade outs to all 170 samples. There's 167 samples in each folder. And these are really fun to play with. Let's play around and find maybe one of these that we want to. Just guitars. Right? There's bass. So you have all sorts of variations. And as you go down the list, you get fewer and fewer variations. I think the ones with 2 and 3 variations are maybe my favorites because they're like just guitars by themselves. Right? And then down the bottom list, these didn't have variations, but I thought they're really cool. So this is phrase 48 at 110 beats per minute. If I go to 85 and I go to phrase 48. Right? Now, if I wanted to play with one of these, let's play with that. So if we want to use that inside of Logic, all you do is go to Logic or your DAW, whichever your DAW of choice is. Then you just drag this in and it's going to say probably all sorts of stuff. Now, this was in the 85 beat per minute folder, right? Yeah. So we can... let's see, have you go away for the moment. And now it's a WAV file, so you could do all sorts of fun things. One thing I love to do with WAV files is let's use the scissors. And if you, inside of Logic, if I hold down, if I go to cut and then I hold down, I think it's Option, it will automatically divide it into pieces so that you can do such things as like move these over here and then put them into place in a random order. And if I wanted to, I could even get crazier and like take all of these and divide them into a half size. So now it's, and what's fun with this kind of stuff is you never know what you're going to get for a phrase. And so I've made a new 2 measure phrase. And you can play with this kind of thing and come up with all sorts of cool random things that you just didn't, you don't think about it, but you come up with something kind of fun. I think this would work better. That. Like those 4 are kind of cool. So let's just play with those for a minute. So now you could shorten them, you could loop certain ones, reverse some. I mean, all sorts of ways of using this are available to you if you want to get into playing with waves and so forth. They're all here available to you at all the different tempos to work with. All 6 tempos are there, all organized. Chord progression is in the name of the files, so it's easy to use. So, and buying the library gives you access to all 4 versions. You get the 3 installs for Unify, and then you get a 4th file you can download from your account, which is just the WAV files if you want that. So the one price gets you both versions of the library. So hopefully that is flexible enough for all of you. I can't get much more flexible, I'll tell you that. There's not many other places you could take it before I need to, like, you know, have Unify doing all sorts of additional tricks and so forth like that. So, but it's really, really flexible, really, really fun to work with it in these different ways. Thanks, Taylor. Appreciate it, man. Okay, so any other questions from you guys, my friends? Can we get some examples of the drum splits that you made for this? Sure. Let's see here. Go back to Unify. Now, drum-wise, so if we set this to normal, so we just call up the drums. Let's go to the drum kit real quick. Well, wait, I'm at phrase sets. And I added a Z so that they show up at the end of the list. So it wouldn't be in the way. Drum kit is right here. The splits for this is just kicks, hi-hats, whole different types of hi-hats, because different genres need different. Here's your big ringy 808s. Right? And again, if you turn off the bypass for MIDI box on this, it's now playing the patterns. Right? Everyone uses different kicks and snares and hats and so forth from this one kit, but because it's so diverse and varied, it does all sorts of different things. Any chance to get the wave files in the original tempos? No. I have manipulated them so much from the originals, and the timing was off and they were in different keys. So if the originals and these sound the same fidelity wise, but I've grouped them and kind of homogenized them to the different tempo sets. So maybe it's a little confusing that some of them don't. It's like, I don't know what the original tempo of that was, right? But it doesn't sound bad. But I've prepared and spent all this time working so that they're all, I didn't do this to the original samples because the name was wrong, the data was wrong, the key it was in times was wrong. And it wasn't flexible enough. I wanted them to be in the 6 different tempos. So now you can go to the 6 to 128. Now, if you wanted to hear the original, let's see if I can go over here. It will take me a second to find inside of the originals. These are the originals that I purchased. Let's see, what are we searching for again? There it is. So that's and here it is at 128 in a different key because I transposed it to be in the let's see, which phrase is this? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, 24. It's like 19. So if we go phrase 19 at 128 beats per minute, we should be close. There it is. And I have it in the key of F minor, and I think it was an F sharp minor for the original. What was it? Oh, let's see. It was E minor. I liked it in the different key, so I transposed it to be in the key of F minor. So you can work with it in a key that's a little bit more keyboard friendly instead of the key that it was in originally. Again, these are decisions that I made months ago when doing the editing to the samples to get it to where it is now. So, but the fidelity is great. I mean, it's very, very minimal difference between the originals and where they are now because of the techniques used to use them. So hopefully, can you show a patch using, I'm not going to pigments today. No, No, I'm not doing pigments. Sorry. I mean, so if we wanted to show, let's try this. If this will be, I don't know if this will be helpful or not, but if you were to go to one of the BPM splits, and let's say I'm at 100 and I'm at 85 beats per minute, so we call it the 85 minute grooves. Now, if I wanted to use pigments, all you would have to do is the right hand is this fourth layer. So double click this. Let's say delete layer 2, and then click the little bullet here and go to Arturia, Pigments, and load it up. And now the right hand's key zone is playing your Pigments plugin. So you can wait while it loads. So I hope you're all doing well. And there we go with an interface. DaVinci, part of the problem is just with this older computer, it's hard to do this and get everything to be working reliably sometimes, but it's there. Let's take it down an octave. So yeah, you can use it in all sorts. I just layered it with the sub bass. Here's without it. We put sub bass with it. Yeah, so that's all you have to do to add your own plugin to this is go to the part, say I want a different bass. I can say Unify. Instead of Guru Sampler, let's go down here. I want to use Zebra, for example, or I want to use something else. So we could even go Waldorf. Let's use the PPG for our bass. There. And if I wanted to add more parts to this, all I have to do is say either duplicate the layer, and then if I wanted to, I could say, no, I want to change this to a different plugin. Go to my favorite plugins that I've got. Let's add Phase Plant to this. It's modular. It's able to go anywhere you want it to go. And then you need to open this up and go to your patches. And so now I have PPG and Phase Plant here, and I've got Pigments in the right hand. And let's say I want to add one of the ChillyPop sub basses to the bass. So here I am, the left hand part right here where it says sub bass left hand. Open up that Unify, ChillyPop, go to basses, set this to Unify layer, add, let's say, bass number 7, which is kind of distorted and so forth, into this mix. And then I want to go to the page for the release. Oh, wait, this is a Unify layer inside of a Unify layer, so you got to go to that Unify layer. And now you can control the... these are able to be customized any way you want. When you have something you like, hit save, put it into this library if you want. You can save it anywhere you want. Just call this BPM split my wacky, or let's call it my beautiful payment split, and save as, and save. And now inside of the library, along with everything else, I have my beautiful split. So hopefully that shows. Newbie question here. Where do you define which sound is for the left-hand side of the keys? Okay, so in these BPM split patches, when you call these up, they're all designed the same way. You see the area above each layer is lightly shaded, but it shows you the key range of that layer. And you can change that over here by clicking and dragging for the key range. If you want it to be in a different range, play more. You can also right click right here and click and drag. And if you click right here in the middle and drag, you can move and it will pop up and show you the keys that you want it to be. So I want this to be from C1, actually C#1. And then I want the top to stop at B2. So you do that. Now, this is a Unify layer inside of Unify. So all you have to do is double click this layer. And now this is the Unify plugin representing that part of the keyboard. So if I choose any patch from any other library, I could go to the Unified Labs. Let's see if I say bass, see what shows up. There's a bass guitar here. So if I say, give me the bass, this is going to replace this whole Unify because I have it at normal with Labs. And again, I have to look at my tempo, make sure I have everything. I'm at 100 beats per minute, so I need to go over here to my DAW, set it to a... Right? Now, if I want to change what's in the right hand, right now it's kind of a cool, kind of mangled bell sound. That's this here, the synth key right hand, fourth layer. Double click that Unify, change it to any patch. We could go, I want it to be acoustic piano. I could say Unify standard. I could go down here to key and say I want like maybe the intimate pianos like that. So up here at the top is acoustic intimate. So just by doing that, would you mention that what tempo the Chili? Right? So it's modular. You can replace any of the parts with whatever you would like. The drum groove is set up in the latch specifically so that when you start it up and play a note, low C is what triggers the groove and the phrase. And again, they're set to latch, right? If you're going to work in your DAW and write a song, it's best to turn off latch. So now it's on when you play a note, off when you take your hand off the note. Okay. Yeah, Blue. I don't have the original tempos. And a lot of them were not at the right tempos in the originals. They didn't read the tempo right, and they would say 180 when it was actually 90 beats per minute. So the original tempo at this point, that's kind of irrelevant. because they are available in these different tempos for you to work with. And fidelity wise, they're almost indistinguishable. I put them into these set ranges of tempos to match the tempos of the chill guitar phrases. I don't know if they will work together. I haven't even had time to try to put a phrase from the guitars library with the ChillyPop phrases, but they're available. The chill guitar phrases, I did the same technique, but I did provide 65 beats per minute for the guitars. I didn't do 65 for these because most of these were a little bit faster tempos. So I hope this is sufficient. I'm sorry, but if you were to go through the original exclusive samples that I paid for, the chord was wrong, the tempo was wrong, information was not right. And so I had to do all sorts of work to modify them to get them to work. And so I don't have access, unless I was to sit here and go through. I mean, these samples are not even in the same order of what they are now, what I've numbered them. I've numbered them based on the number of phrases. The more phrases that it had would be one of the earlier phrases to show up. And then when you get to the end of the list, it's just the ones that had only one phrase. So the number, it's its own thing at this point. So I hope that works for you. Sorry if it doesn't, but I try to make it as flexible as I can. And giving you the originals would just be confusing because their information, everything was E flat minor, and none of it was E flat minor. So they didn't have anything for the chord progressions or anything. So hope that helps. Yes. So again, I see what Daniel wanted me to show. The way that Unify works is that you can call up any of these patches. I'm at 100 beats. I think I'm still at 100 beats per minute. So if I call up 100 beats per minute, once you've gone to the plugin page and you go to the operations and you either scan here for your plugins, this will add to your plugin list to add the plugins that you own on your computer. And now those are all available inside of Unify, including Pigments. So if you own Pigments, then this is after you've scanned your plugins, you have to scan plugins first, so that when you get to this list and you scroll down to P, you will see, get down to P, I have about 700 something plugins in here. H, Pigments is right here. So Pigments is available inside of Unify, which means if I open up this Unify layer, if I hit init and then just go right here to swap all instruments, this is where I get the list with all of my plugins. Arturia Pigments is right here. By clicking that, it will load Pigments. And because this is inside of this complex setup, it's already set up so that Pigments only plays in a certain part of the keyboard. And again, it's very, very slow on this computer. But it's right here just for the right-hand part of the keyboard for this layer that I've used Pigments in. So come here, Pigments. If I was to go over here to the patches and I was to say, playlist banks. I guess you would go to types to organize. I haven't worked with this interface. And again, my computer, part of the reason for being cautious with this is inside of my computer, it gets a little funky with some of this stuff, which is why I have a new computer, so that. So there's Pigments being used in this layer of this. So it's rock and roll, ready to go. And again, the fun thing with Unify is that I could easily say Unify layer, and now I could go through all of my patches. I'm accessing 3,000 patches right now. I could say guitar. I could say add. And then let's go down to V for voices or something like that. Vox. I don't even know what library this is from, but by clicking it, I think this is probably, I think it's Labs. Yeah. So I added a guitar patch, and I added this angelic choirs from Spitfire Labs. All of a sudden, it all works together very nicely. So whatever plugins you own, Unify allows you to incorporate them into the patches you're working with so that you got that stuff to go. So anyway, let's do our shout outs. Thank you for joining me for this. And I can't wait till my lips are sealed, but there's stuff I want to blurt out, man, that we've been working on that kind of nice. For 1.9 is going to be a nice little update. So anyway, shout outs from wherever you are at. Thank you for joining me for this presentation. Now I get to do the patch walkthrough for real and try to get everything organized to help it make sense. There's so much to this library. It's it's loops, but it's so much more than that, as you can see, hopefully. So shout out. Hello, Texas, for Blue. Cool, dude. Nice to meet you. Shout out from... I'm going to go get some barbecue wings for lunch. Can't wait. The UK. Shout out from Germany. Nice, Gerhard. Good to see you. Florida, Scotland. Isn't it funny? All the Germany. Nice to see you, Bright Band. I mean, people are everywhere in the world hanging out. That's what I love with these live streams every Saturdays. Good to see you, Fred. By the way, there's still a little bit of... Oh, wait, the sale price is over for Fred, but his library for Devastation is incredible. So check that out. The ESC has an incredible life for Omnisphere we released a couple weeks ago. And you're welcome, Daniela. Thank you. And yeah, Kobo, nice to meet you. Thank you. From Sweden, Quebec. I mean, we're everywhere. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good to see you all. So, music. Oh, cool. Hey, WFM Studios. Shout out from Owens Community College. Cool, man. Nice to meet you. Hey, if your college is doing education classes, I'm trying to get into schools with Unify because this is a really cool system for teaching because you can layer your synths, you can make patches, and people on PCs and Macs can share the patches. So have someone contact me, okay? If you have questions, Unify support at pluginguru.com. We're here for you. Again, this is a big library. It's 5 gigabytes installed. So it's a lot of loops, a lot of organization. I tried to make it as straightforward. I tried to explain as much of it as I could in the manual. And the video walkthrough is coming in the next day or so. So thank you to all your support. Enjoy. We'll see you next Saturday, same time for another live stream. Oh, cool, Lone Cam. Thank you. So glad you love it. That's awesome. Awesome. And if you guys can, if you have a minute and you buy the library and like it, please write a quick review. You have to own the library before you can write a review. You can't just write a review without owning it. Once you own it, if you have a minute to write a review, I would sincerely appreciate it. Just talking about the library, what you find, how it's organized, if it's going to work for you. If there's issues that you've found from working with it, let us know. I want to know so we could maybe even break. If it's things I can do to make it better, then I'm all for all that stuff. So had a really, really good time. It's really amazing with adding these phrases, how that can just up the game so much for giving you this really cool That's cool with that sound, the big layer. That's with, what is it with? With pigments, and then the Aria Softy, and then Angelic Choirs from Spitfire Labs. So, and let's add one more thing to this layer. Let's go over here and just click the fuzzy dice. Uh-oh. I didn't set this to Unify layers, so what did it load up? It loaded up a phrase set. Okay, well, we don't want a phrase set from ChillyPop. Let's see what else it can find. Uh-oh, Daniela's favorite Omnisphere. Let's go over here and let's say Unify layer, and let's click the fuzzy dice. I love this because this allows Unify, and you could stream down. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. So a little bonus crash at the end of the session is always fun. Yeah. Oh, hi, Spider. Spider hanging out. There. Yeah, it very seldom crashes. I don't know what it was that took it down there, but oops, that happens. At the very end. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry for the little software problem there at the end. It's because of Omnisphere. No, Omnisphere doesn't crash. I haven't had many crashes with Omnisphere and stuff like that. Oh, well, anyway, yeah, so there's all sorts of fun to be had. And thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next week. Get back to creating unified patches. Oh, cool. Cool. Tim, can't wait to see what you got working up, man. That's going to be awesome. Thank you all again. Hands together, head bowed. We will see you next week. Thank you as always for your support. Cheers.